Today, Cabinet started off with the Zimbabwe's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and also the report on the procurement and rollout of vaccines. Cabinet received an update on the country's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and a report on procurement and rollout of vaccines, and this was presented by the chairperson of the Ministers' COVID-19 National Committee, Vice President and Minister of Health and Childcare, Honorable Dr. CGDN Chiwenga. The nation is informed that as of 21st March 2022, which is yesterday, the country's cumulative COVID-19 cases stood at 244,685, with 244,895 recoveries and 5,429 deaths. The recovery rate was 96%, with 4,361 active cases having been recorded. The number of new COVID-19 cases decreased to 2,004 during this week under review, compared to 3,306 recorded the previous week. This represented a 39% decrease. This was an indication that strengthened government implementation of all public health and social measures during the past few weeks in collaboration with all stakeholders is paying off. The following areas recorded the most significant number of new cases: Mashonaland East, 445, Manicaland, 381, Mashonaland West, 379, and Masvingo, 201. The number of people in need of hospitalization for COVID-19 continues to decrease, with the country's bed occupancy rate declining to 2.3% during the week under review from 3.0% the previous week. There were no admissions to the intensive care unit. Regarding the national vaccination program, Cabinet wishes to inform the public that as of 21st March 2022, which is yesterday, a total of 4,428,726 first doses of the COVID-19 vaccine had been administered, while 3,443,832 people had received their second dose. A total of 181,798 third doses had been administered to date. The National Vaccination Blitz, or rather the campaign, which kicked off on Monday, yesterday, 21st March 2022, and government is urging those that have not yet been vaccinated to take advantage of this exercise to do so. The main aim of the campaign is to reach 70% of the total population by end of July 2022. This is in line with WHO regulations. It is reported that the country has enough vaccine stocks for the planned national vaccination blitz, having received 22,405,000 COVID-19 vaccine doses and up to date utilized 8,034,932 doses. The nation is also being informed that the total number of COVID-19 cases detected in schools since the beginning of the first term decreased. All the active cases detected through the school's surveillance system are under isolation and are being managed by the Ministry of Health and Childcare. Also inform you that attendance in schools remained stable. In fact, 100% of the teachers were present and 84% for learners. Cabinet reports that the risk communication and information will roll out an intensive COVID-19 vaccination publicity campaign nationwide from the 21st March to 3rd April 2022. The campaign will target people aged 12 years and above and is aimed at encouraging all these people to get vaccinated. Community engagement by religious and traditional leaders on all COVID-19 prevention measures will be strengthened during this vaccination campaign blitz. The nation is informed that the presidential ball scheme event launched in Chitungwiza tomorrow will be expanded to include the vaccination campaign blitz launch activities. It is noted that water and vaccines are two of the key ingredients for COVID-19 prevention. Government is appealing to all Zimbabweans to take the COVID-19 pandemic seriously, and as such, you are required to continue to adhere to the laid down World Health Organization and national protocols at all times. These protocols include the following, and I will repeat because of the importance of it: the wearing of masks currently at all times, washing of hands, and observing social distance. Citizens are being urged to be on their guard at all times to minimize infections. Then Cabinet received an update on the 2022 population and housing census. The Minister of Finance and Economic Development updated Cabinet on the progress made pertaining the preparations for the 2022 population and housing census. The nation is informed that preparations for the 2022 population and housing census is progressing well as planned. The training of 500 Level 1 supervisors was completed on 2nd March, while the training of Level 2 supervisors commenced on 15th March and will be completed on 24th March 2022. Level 3 training for 41,000 census enumerators is scheduled to take place from the 7th to the 17th of April 2022. Youth will also be incorporated among enumerators. Cabinet advises that deployment of census enumerators will start from 18th to the 20th April 2022, followed by census enumeration from 21st April to 30th April 2022. The population is encouraged to be cooperative and be counted during the census exercise. Then Cabinet received principles of the Witness Protection Bill 2022. Cabinet considered and approved the principles of the Witness Protection Bill 2022 as presented by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziambe. The nation is informed that the Witness Protection Bill seeks to fill the gap in the law by establishing legislation to provide for the witness protection in Zimbabwe. The absence of adequate witness protection mechanisms has resulted in the police taking the responsibility of protecting witnesses. Cabinet noted that this is a huge challenge for the police as they have no structured or long-term mechanisms for providing special protection to witnesses, and if that protection is given, it is only limited to the duration of the trial and not afterwards. Cabinet reports that the purpose of the bill is to provide for the establishment of an office that caters for the protection and placement of witnesses under temporary, interim, and permanent protection. The bill seeks to regulate the powers, functions, and duties of the office. Furthermore, the bill will establish the necessary procedures and measures on how witnesses are put into the Witness Protection Program. Then we moved on to get a report on the Prisons and Correctional Services Bill 2022. Cabinet considered and approved the Prisons and Correctional Services Bill 2022. Again, this was presented by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziambe. The nation is informed that the Prisons and Correctional Services Bill 2022 seeks to modernize the prisons legislation with a view to ensuring that it meets the international norms and standards regarding prisons administration, including the way prisoners should be treated. This includes focusing on restorative justice through rehabilitation rather than incarceration of offenders. The Prisons and Correctional Services Act will ensure that the prison system caters for the needs of the vulnerable groups, such as pregnant women, juvenile offenders, as well as persons with disabilities and other special categories in our society that have special needs. Cabinet advises that the parole system will be broadened to provide for the eligibility of every prisoner to apply for parole regardless of the nature of the sentence they are serving. The legislation will provide for the establishment of correctional community centers throughout the country, which will essentially be open prisons. These centers will also ensure the decongestion of prisons, as certain prisoners will be released from standard prisons to reside in such community centers. They also serve the purpose of easing the transition of inmates from incarceration life to community life. The legislation further seeks to promote community involvement in prisons and correctional services in order to ensure that prisoners will not face difficulties and hostilities in being accepted back into their communities and within their own families. The Prisons and Correctional Services Act will extend an inmate's right to consult with a medical practitioner of their choice at their own expense. In tandem with the Constitution, the legislation affords inmates access to their lawyers before and during their trials. Then Cabinet received a report on the SADC Council of Ministers meeting, which was held in Lilongwe from the 18th to the 19th March 2022. This report on the SADC Council of Ministers meeting held in Lilongwe, Malawi, was presented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Dr. F. Shawa. Cabinet advises that the SADC Council of Ministers was held under the theme, and I quote, bolstering productive capacities in the face of COVID-19 pandemic for inclusive, sustainable, economic, and industrial transformation, unquote. The nation is informed that the discussions focused primarily on budgetary issues and how to strengthen the human resources and administrative capacities of the SADC Secretariat to enable them to better serve the region. Progress in the implementation of programs and projects under the Industrialization Strategy and Roadmap 2015 to 2063, SADC Vision 2050, and the Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan for 2020 to 2030 was also reviewed. Then we moved on to get an update on the implementation of the National Tourism Recovery and Growth Strategy. Cabinet was updated and it noted progress on the implementation of the National Tourism Recovery and Growth Strategy, and this paper was presented by the Minister of Environment, Climate, Tourism and Hospitality Industry, Honorable Mangaliso Vyovo. Cabinet wishes to inform the nation that implementation of the National Tourism Recovery and Growth Strategy, which seeks to grow the tourism economy to $5 billion industry by 2025, is in full swing, following its launch by His Excellency the President in August 2020. The tourism industry was adversely affected, as we all know, by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 and 2021, mainly from lockdowns, red listing, and travel bans. This resulted in the loss of 9,000 jobs, as well as closure of 37 facilities. Notwithstanding this, notable progress and developments have been recorded to date, and some of these are the following. Under the domestic tourism, the launch of the Zimbo campaign in 2020, which helped improve domestic tourism and also increased domestic entries into national parks. It increased to 251,088 in 2021 compared to 173,714 in 2020. Then tourism investment promotion. Tourism investments increased from $86 million in 2020 to $142 million in 2021. Some notable investments being Palm River Hotel, that's in Victoria Falls, Zambezi Boutique Guest House, and Ngosi Guest Lodge, all those in Victoria Falls. Then Makado in Beitbridge, and the Beethoven Hotel in Harare. Also, the Hot Plate Grill restaurants were opened throughout the country. A new 3,000-seater conferencing facility is under construction in Motoko, while another 250-seater has been constructed at Village Hotel in Gweru. Also, major renovations and refurbishments were carried out at the Victoria Falls Rainbow, the Cresta Group of Hotels, and the Victoria Falls Hotel. The Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Management Authority, ZimParks, is refurbishing its lodges in Nyanga, Vumba, and Chimanimani National Parks. ZimParks also launched new tourism products to diversify attractions in the national parks, and these include Sikato Lion Encounter, that's in Masvingo, the Chinoi Lion Encounter in Mashonaland West Province, and the Chabalala Lion Encounter and Entertainment Area in Matabeleland South Province. A total of $133.2 million was invested in public-private partnership tourism-related construction projects between 2021 and 2022, and these involve the Forestry Commission, and then the Bulawayo Crawl is also being reconstructed. In terms of accessibility of tourism products, Qatar Airways commenced flights to Zimbabwe on 1st August 2021. Mark Air of Botswana started servicing the Kasane Victoria Falls route on 1st May 2021. Then FastJet has scheduled flights that connect Victoria Falls to Kruger National Parks through Mpumalanga. That was introduced in March 2022. Falcon Air Safaris, which is a subsidiary of the District Development Fund, DDF, is now servicing Hwange Airport. The DDF is also refurbishing the Chapoto in Kanyemba and Binga aerodromes. This is all done to support geological spread of tourism. Then Lufthansa's Eurowings will service the Frankfurt, Windhoek to Victoria Falls route, and this will commence on the 13th March 2022. Also to say Kariba Airport is being refurbished by the Civil Aviation Authority of Zimbabwe. These services are in addition to those already being offered by Ethiopian Airlines, Kenya Airways, South African Airlink, Rwanda Air, Air Tanzania, and Emirates. Then when it comes to tourism marketing and promotion efforts, 3 tourism promotion programs which were launched during the period being reviewed are the Zimbo, as I mentioned, under domestic tourism promotion. Then there's the Visit Zimbabwe, which is international tourism promotion, launched in partnership with the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Arts and Arts to use cricket as a vehicle to promote Destination Zimbabwe. And also the Meet in Zimbabwe, and this is the promotion of meetings and exhibitions. The country's tourism digital marketing campaign was rated by Dubai Expo 2020 as one of the top 8 of the 109 exhibiting countries. The 2020 and 2021 editions of Shanganani World Tourism Expo were held virtually with very limited participants. Now the 2022 edition will be held in Bulawayo as a full physical event. The Ministry of Environment, Climate, Tourism and Hospitality Industry partnered with tourism players in the Kavango, Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area, CASA, to promote regional tourism through the highly successful Africa's Eden Travel and Trade Show, which was held on the 7th to the 10th February 2022. This was attended by 70 international buyers from 23 countries, and 113 exhibitors were there from the Kaza region. Furthermore, football personalities such as Tino Kadewere and Marvelous Nakamba have been roped in as tourism ambassadors to grow the brand and popularize the country as a tourist destination of choice. These ambassadors and others are influential on the international arena. Then, when it comes to wide-scale rollout of the service excellency programs, 500 local tourism players attended the online service excellence training, which was facilitated by the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority in partnership with Global Leadership Summit. Then the tourism support facility, that's a very important topic. Some of the significant achievements attained under this facility include the following: the waiver of value-added tax on domestic tourism and duty exemption facility. These will continue to help improve access to tourism products and services by the domestic market through extended price reductions. Then a total of 117 applicants received tax rebates valued at US $11,301,721 in 2021, compared to the 81 applicants that received US $2,399,957 in 2020. The rebates were for capital goods and specified motor vehicles. Government also paid 198 million Zimbabwe dollars to support operations of the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority, whose operations are normally funded by a 2% levy, which is charged on services provided to both domestic and international tourism. Tourism operators are now allowed to retain 100% of their foreign earnings. Then the tourism satellite account, which is a statistical tool for the measurement of tourism's contribution to the gross domestic product trade and employment in the economy is now operational. Cabinet resolved that 1, the statutory instrument on the duty rebates should be amended to give Zimbabwe Tourism Authority the exclusive mandate to recommend applicants to the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development for duty processing. Then 2, the gazetting of major water bodies like Tugwi Mukosi and Gwai Shangani dams as conservation and recreational parks should be expedited to unlock investment potential. And also 3, that the Ministry of Environment, Climate, Tourism, and Hospitality industry work closely with that of Finance and Economic Development to come up with an effective financing plan that can complement the recovery of the tourism sector. That is as much for the tourism sector. We now move on to the mining update. The Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honorable Winston Chitando, submitted a number of updates on the state of the mining industry, which included the following matters. A Kimberley process team will be undertaking a review visit to Zimbabwe from the 8th to the 13th May 2022. This is to enable Zimbabwe to undergo a review process which happens every 5 years. Then B, Zimbabwe, which is the vice chair of the African Diamond Producers Association, ADPA, is set to host a meeting of the Council of Ministers and meeting of experts in hybrid format at Elephant Hills Hotel, Victoria Falls, from the 6th to the 8th of April 2022. Then C, a proposal which was granted for approval to be given for application to export used catalytic converters recovered from vehicles which have come to the end of the useful lives. Then Cabinet moved on to get an update on the water supply situation in the major urban centers. Cabinet was updated on issues related to challenges facing urban local authorities in discharging their water service delivery functions by the ministry, and this report was given by the Minister of Local Government and Public Works, Honorable July Moyo. Cabinet noted the challenges and is aware that this matter must be attended to in the shortest period. To that extent, there will be a presidential statement on the issue once all the arrangements are finalized. Then finally, there is the report on the status of implementation of the 99-year lease. Cabinet discussed the issue of a bankable 99-year lease. The aim is to harness resources for financing agriculture from the financial sector. The Attorney General was directed to expedite work on the enabling document. And I want to thank you all. That brings us to the end of today's Cabinet post-briefing.